How's everybody doing today? I'm having a good day. I woke up this morning in a McCulloch mood. I port by feel. One of the things I enjoy doing is just working on saws that I want to work on. And that's why I like being super low volume, because I can really spend my time. I got the cylinder off of McCulloch Pro Mac 850 here. Now, what I'm doing, before I grind on this, I got the timing numbers and looked inside and just kind of got familiar with this here machine. Now, what I'm doing, I want to get some data on how wide the ports are in relation to the skirt. Here, I'll point with here. They're good for nose hairs and or pointing. You can also get your fingers in places. I mean, these things are amazing. I'm measuring the width of the skirt to intake, and I'm also checking out the exhaust port. Now, something of note on these, and I'll bring you guys in close here. I'll turn the light on so you guys can see. I want to learn how to port these because they're strange saws. That exhaust port is on one side of the bore. You guys notice that? It is slightly that way. How far, I'm not sure, so I'm going to measure it. And notice it's almost angled out with the pipe. As you remember, the cylinder sits like this, and the pipe comes around, and does that make sense? So it's almost like this exhaust port is part of the stock pipe. But it's on one side, and I don't know, I've never seen that before. To me, you always want your ports center of the bore so that you can, so that when the piston clears the exhaust port, you get maximum velocity in the center, which creates some pull. Again, some people disagree with that. They like a flatter port, a wide flat port. Everything I do, friends, is from my air movement background. I do move air for a living. Been doing that for a long time. So everything I do in porting is from my air movement background. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. That's why we're here doing all these experiments. Buckin, being the good fella he is, he told me, do what you do. So we're going to go on a completely different route with this than we did with that Super Pro 70. And that Super Pro, sorry, I lost my train of thought there, friends. That Super Pro, I was really happy with the RPM that saw achieved. That thing absolutely screams. That saw didn't have the most pull. I'm not sure if that's just the design of the saw or the porting I did to it. Part of me would like to have that saw back so I can play with it some more. This whole arrangement that Buckin and I have is, I port saws and he's brutally honest with me. I like that, friends. I don't want no sugar coating. I want to be the best porter that I can be. I'm not competing with anybody else. I'm competing with myself. I want to make really strong running work saws. And the only way to do that is, who better to run my saws than a guy that's lived on a saw for 25 years, you know? And when the time comes, he can pass saws around to his buddies and, you know, other guys that have lived on a saw. That's what I want. You know, messing around in the yard and cutting cookies, that's fun for testing. But, you know, a guy that's going to run a saw for 6, 7, 8 hours, that's the fun for me. So, I was happy with the Super Pro. I think it could be better, and I'm very honest with my builds, friends. I think that could be better. I'm going to apply what I learned in that to this Pro Mac 850. Now, this is a hard charging saw out of the gate. I don't think it needs a ton of work, but we could do better, I think. Two-stroke porting theory has gone really far in the last 30, 40 years, and we're going to apply some of that to this saw. So, without further ado, friends, oh, also, in the last video, you guys saw that bottom end was rusty. I cleaned it up. I spent an hour this morning taking the rust off the crankshaft, and no harm, no foul. We caught it in time, and so we saved another saw, and that's what this is about, saving these vintage power saws. Okay, friends, I'm going to get set up here. Hopefully you guys can see this. There's a little bit of Let's see. You guys see that? Right there. You see that little flake? There's a little spot of bad plating underneath the intake port. I'm actually going to grind that off. So we're going to give this thing a couple of degrees of intake timing. I'm going to attempt to center this port in the bore, do a little reshaping. I'm probably going to widen it a bit to help with our short blowdown. I'm not going to deck this cylinder. I did do that on the Super Pro 70. I decked that cylinder pretty far, friends. I do have a big lathe here. Those of you that have been on the channel for a while have seen it. I don't use it all the time. I use it when I feel necessary. And I did deck the living bejesus out of that Super Pro cylinder, and it did promote gains, but I think we can do better. This saw has 35,000 squish. Not the best squish, not the worst. We'll live with that on this saw. It's nice starting with a saw that doesn't have 50 or 60,000 squish. Anyhow, friends, I'm going to get some measurements here. I'm going to get set up, and let's do a little porting on this saw. And then we'll put a timing wheel on it, and I'll see where we're at. I don't think we're going to be able to run it today. I would like to. We got a major storm blowing in again. I was actually going to go, we had rain for the last 2 or 3 days. I was actually going to go take the 6.5 diesel into the woods and get a load of logs. We need test logs for winter. We'll have to do that another day. Anyhow, friends, enough flapping. I'm going to get set up here, and let's do a little porting on this cylinder. I'll hit you guys back up later when we got some more to report. Okay, friends, I'm going to open up the lower transfers just a hair. See that line? That's actually the piston skirt. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to open up the lower transfers just a hair. Try and feed them a little bit better. And I might even... Here, I'll draw a line for you guys. Just continue what we got for primary, secondary. Okay, here we go. Got my Chuck Taylors on today. That should help with grinding. Those are probably the perfect grinding shoes now that I think of it. Stock. I'm not trying to change what they did. I'm just trying to accentuate it. Trying to get rid of this lip here. When air has to do this, okay, it will slow the airflow down. Now it will create some pull, but I don't want right angles in my transfers except for at the top, right? What other choice do you have? But so this is what I'm going to do. Okay, I just got to clean up this little corner here. Now notice, if you look through here, there we go. See if we can get that to focus. Notice, friends, it is a smooth transition from the old bottom of the transfer to what I ground. Just trying to help air get in there a little bit easier. As delivered, there's a heavy lip there, so we're not changing much in these, but just enough to help it flow. I'm going to put that egg-shaped burr on here and clean up this corner, and then I'll do the other side to match. Then we can do the exhaust and intake. Okay, friends, you're not going to be able to see much in here. I gave it just a hair of intake timing. I don't know how well you guys can see. Just that little ridge there, okay? Now, it's my theory, and again, I am not a Mac porter, but I'm learning, and I'm willing to try things and learn. Because these intakes are so wide, you have to be really careful with these Macs. Okay, now all I was really doing, there was a chip, and I showed you guys earlier, there was a chip right here. I just cut the chip out. I probably added a couple degrees of intake timing. I'm going to time this all up when I'm done. Now, the exhaust port, it is offset. I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to take this ledge out of here, okay? I'm not going to take it out on the bottom. I'm probably just going to blend it, okay? I'm going to take this ledge out of here, and I'm going to widen the exhaust port a little bit and raise it just slightly, okay? Okay, let's do a little grindy on the old exhaust port. I'm going slow on this. I know it's not my style to go slow, but like I've said before, Bucket really likes these saws. They're hard to get parts for, so slow and steady wins the race on this one. I'm just going to set up my light. Always make sure you can see what you're grinding, and I know that's a funny statement, but it can be hard. These Mac cylinders are pretty tough to get light into, so again, if you can't see, I just use this DeWalt light. It's about 1 million candle power, and it gets a lot of light in here. Okay, here we go. Okay, that's my first pass right there. I wonder if I can. Now friends, I don't know where I left off here. I didn't hit record. Here's where we're at. Now I'm just taking that lip out, and I'm gonna take the lip out on this side. You guys see that? Okay. Just trying to square up this exhaust and make it symmetrical on both sides, and I'm gonna widen it just a hair, and that should help us with our lack of blowdown in this saw. Okay, now I'm just going to clean up the bottom. Again, light pressure, light strokes, just gentle. I let the tool do the cutting is what I have to remind myself of that, because being a large fella, you want to reef on everything, but in this case, gentle, smooth strokes. Okay, we're almost done the exhaust port here. Just trying to make sure that it is symmetrical, no bumps. This exhaust port, I noted, I don't know if I noted at the beginning, it had a small ding. You can still see right about here. See that little high spot? The remnants of the ding. So we're going to just try and blend that out. Can you guys hear the difference? When I use a lower speed, listen, it becomes more chattery. I just want you guys to hear. Okay, it's chattering. As I go faster, it'll smooth it out. But there's a point of diminishing returns where you're just going too fast. See, that's really smooth. Okay, and I'm just blending it with the outer part of the exhaust port now. That way when we polish it, it'll polish up nicer. Now friends, because I'm testing and tuning here, this is just a test. I'm not going too far with this saw. I'm probably not going to polish this exhaust port. If I like the way the saw runs, I can always take it apart after and polish it. Again, I'm just blending in these corners. See, there's a high spot here, and that's why that dark spot's there. So I'm using the whole cutter flat, and that'll get rid of the high spot. Okay friends, there's our roughed-in exhaust port. I am going to go in with a sander and just finish my shaping, smooth this out. So we got a little more exhaust timing. Here's our intake. Like I said, we didn't do much. We just took the ding out, or I didn't do much. I just took the ding out. Okay, there was a ding at the bottom. This will give me a good baseline. We've added a couple degrees of intake timing would be my guess. 1 or 2, I'm going to say probably 2, so about 4 degrees duration. And my guess is, and I won't know, we'll put a timing wheel on this in the next video and probably get it ready to run. My guess is that this this exhaust is around 100 or 101 now. Okay friends, there are the finished transfers. I didn't show you that much of the last Super Pro 70, so I figured I'd share it this time with you guys. There you go, no lip in the exhaust. Notice nice and symmetrical, no bumps. I did polish it just a hair. And our new intake, I just took a little bit out. Okay friends, well my plan was to actually run some power saws today, but I don't know if you guys can hear. It's pouring rain again. We need it. So I think that's as far as we're going to go on this saw today. I have some finish work to do on the Echo, and I'm really happy with this. This will give me at least a good baseline. I wanted to take that lip out and put the saw back together and see how it runs. I may add a little more intake timing, but again, I won't know until I slap a timing wheel on. So, next time you see this saw, let's put it back together. I'm going to wash this cylinder out really good because these have a lot of nooks and crannies. I'm going to wash this cylinder out really good, clean it with soap and water, and I'll bolt the saw back together. We'll put the timing wheel on, and then we can see where the timing actually is at on this saw now with those few small adjustments. And we might even, and I think what we're going to do is, we might even run this power saw the way it is. I want to see, I'm going to take it in increments. I kind of know where I want to go with this saw, but I don't want to go too far, friends, because like I said, parts are becoming very hard to get for these. So, and there's only so many 850s kicking around. Anyhow, friends, I hope you enjoyed this video and could kind of see what I was doing in here. And that's my thought process. Get rid of the lip. Widen the exhaust just a hair to help with to help with the blowdown issue. Give it a little more intake timing, couple degrees, and slap it back together. And of course, feed these transfers better. There is no, as delivered, the transfers are like this. The air comes out of the case like this, hits the wall, and goes up. What I do is I'm doing this with them. Okay, smooth. Whether it'll work or not, we'll see. Anyhow, friends, as always, thanks for hanging out with me in my shop, and just thanks for being here. Oh, and one more thing, friends, go check out the Tasman Kenny Fuller. I finally got to yak with him a little bit on the phone the other day. What a super nice fella. And Tasman, good to make your acquaintance, buddy. Anyhow, friends, thanks for watching. Take her easy and go check out the Tasman. Later.